From my point of view, there are 6 areas in my experience that I think are worth keeping front of mind as we think about fast growth companies. As I mentioned, I've been at Dell for 13 years, but what gives me the ability to stand up on stage and talk about this is that I've been responsible for leading business units inside of Dell that have either not existed before I took them over or have not been performing as expected. And I've led, over the last 13 years, I've led a number of different business units inside the company that are now performing, hitting growth targets and achieving their goals. And the 6 fundamental practices that I try and keep front of mind are here. Have a strategic plan. Think about the long term. Think about how you're differentiating your offering, your technology, your product set. But also combine that with a tactical plan. What do you want to do tomorrow? What do you want to do next week? What do you want to do next month? And map that back to your strategic plan. Are you going in the right direction? Are you checking that against your strategic plan day in, day out to ensure that you're going to achieve your objectives? It's very easy to set a grand goal, a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, and then day in, day out, slowly change your decision making, and you end up diverging from your strategic plan. And you don't hit the goals that you're after at the end of the day. So, have a strategic plan, marry that with a tactical plan, measure that tactical plan against your strategic plan on a regular basis. Depending on the size of your organisation, and depending on the maturity of your organisation, you may need to think about this concept of multi-dimensional job descriptions. That's not just a job description written on a piece of paper, but it really is an expectation that is understood between the team members that work with you. What are you going to deliver? What are your colleagues going to deliver? How do you make sure you do deliver against those expectations? And how do you understand where the gaps are when they inevitably occur? And once you understand that, and you can then build plans to address those gaps and close them and achieve the objectives you have. So it's not necessarily about what you're going to do, it's also about how you do it. And as much in the how as it is in the what. So think about multi-dimensional job descriptions. I think it's very important. Think about getting each person to write their job description for you. Because your understanding of their role and their understanding of their role are 2 very different things. So I think that's something that served me very well. Especially when you work in multicultural environments, the words that you use to describe something are not necessarily understood the same way across the different colleagues that you work with. External feedback. Dr. Emerson mentioned the mentor and the role model. That concept very much gels with me. External feedback, bounce ideas off friends, bounce ideas off colleagues, peers, talk to industry advisors, talk to vendors. Use the power of vendors to help you check your decision-making process, check your ideas. Clearly, depending what your idea is and how confidential it is, you need to be aware of the implications of what you share. But I don't think, can you ever have too much feedback? As long as you understand the feedback that you have and can process it and rationalize it, I think, good critical feedback is always valuable. So I think something very, very important there. Pay for performance. We talked earlier a little bit about, money isn't always the only motivation. But I think money is a very, very important motivation. But that doesn't have to be short-term. That doesn't have to be on a monthly basis. That can be on a quarterly basis or an annual basis. And there needs to be some element of skin in the game. When you talk about the investors here today, it's about skin in the game. when you talk about employees or team members, think about how do you incent them appropriately. Either it's money, or maybe it's additional equity as part of the business, or some other relative reward scheme for performance gains and for hitting targets. And then finally, something about climate management, and I don't mean the aircon. Actually, it's quite cold in here, I find, but at least it's keeping us all awake. But it's really about what is the behaviour you engender as a leader of your organisation, and how do you make sure that your colleagues and team members pick up and replicate that type of behaviour. It is about the culture of your business. There was some comments again from Dr. Emerson earlier, which is about treating suppliers and partners and providers well. That approach is starts with the culture of your organisation. It starts with the climate of your business, and I think that broad commentary about what the climate is very, very important for you to think about. So those are 6 points from my perspective that I think and I hope are relatively relevant to your businesses today, and I'm sure you're already thinking about all of these in different areas. I thought it would be valuable just to kind of refresh a little bit and take some time just to think about them again.